So the UK and the West have been caught up in a culture war. Riots have even broken out in recent weeks. But even with all of these societal issues, I still maintain that moving back to Singapore from the UK was only my second best decision. The first best decision was going there in the first place. Now, if you are listening to all of this, you might be wondering, have I completely lost my mind? With all of these issues such as rising crime rates, divided society, and poor infrastructure, why would I even say such a thing? What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and on this channel I help young people navigate major life transitions to achieve the financial and lifestyle freedom that they so define, backed by my experience in crypto, banking, as well as economics. So if all of that sounds interesting to you, do consider leaving a like and subscribing to this channel so you do not miss any future uploads. So in today's video, what we're going to be talking about is why you should still consider moving to the West if you are from Asia. We'll be going through 3 key reasons why you might want to do this, and this can be split into 3 parts: finances, social brand, as well as skills and confidence. I'll be doing this video from the perspective of an Asian moving over into Europe, but this would apply to a similar demographic moving towards a Western country like the US as well. So first, let's talk about finances. Now, I have covered in my previous video how expensive this whole move can be, and specifically what kind of salary that you might need to expect before you actually make the jump. All links will be down in the description below. When it comes to finances though, in this case, the idea is to get a long-term gain rather than a short-term one. In the short term, you will definitely be saving more by remaining in Asia and working from a fresh graduate job. However, career-wise, there may still be more vacancies for sectors that you are interested in, perhaps even the higher-paying sectors in spaces like finance or law. Apart from all of these typically Asian careers, this could also mean being actually able to make an income off of something that you might be passionate in but has no demand whatsoever in the East, or indeed being exposed to markets that see less deal flow in the Asia Pacific region or APAC, at least as of now. But what I'm noticing, however, is that more and more teams are becoming decentralized across the globe, so this may or may not be the case by the time you actually watch this. Nonetheless, however, where careers are concerned, a lot of the time it is who you know rather than what you know that gets you across the line. And in many sectors that have traditionally been Western focused or Commonwealth focused like finance or law, many of those working in those industries, even back in the East, like in Singapore, have previously worked in places like the UK as well. For example, in my experience working in finance in Singapore, this company is one of those that has a huge London presence and a huge presence in Europe as well. So when I landed back in Singapore, I was actually pretty surprised, and somewhat pleasantly surprised actually, that everyone was a London alumnus in some way, shape or form, which made them all the more relatable. All of this is to say that by having that Western badge, I compare it to having a vanity plate on a car, for instance. This actually provides you with potential networking benefits that could benefit you, whether it be career ops or backup options when you choose to return to the East later down the line. And that actually brings me on to the second benefit, which extends outside of the workplace, which is the social brand. Earlier, I compared the UK or Western experience as a vanity plate. Well, it is precisely that. It is more the case that people view this as a point of common origin, and it becomes that much more easy to relate with people who may be in senior positions or even in your personal day-to-day lives. Ever since coming back from the UK, I have found it so easy to strike common ground with people who have been through similar things, be it whether they are a local here, originally from Europe, or indeed from elsewhere where they've studied in the UK and used that to pivot to a job here in Singapore. Granted, this is something that is kind of a niche case, and it's something that also comes with living anywhere abroad for a while. But this is less likely to arise from just a short trip or an exchange to that location. This is also further boosted by the fact that here in Singapore, well, in Hong Kong and Malaysia as well, there are quite a high number of people around the same age who have similar UK or Western exposure, creating a means to meet and quickly get acquainted with people I would never otherwise have interacted with within the local social structure. I've talked at length about this, about the reality of moving to Singapore and how basically social groups are formed since high school and since university and could be hard to break into and hard to venture out of. So if you are looking to have this additional benefit, that could be yet another good reason for you to venture abroad. Stay in the West for a while, get that experience on your belt, get the career benefits, as well as that social brand or vanity plate. Now, all of this, however, requires you to have certain soft skills needed to actually put yourself out there, and this was actually one of the biggest weaknesses that was highlighted me directly by my boss while I was in London. And this is where we move on to the third point, which is going to be skills and confidence. As Asians and left at home in our home country where we were brought up, a lot of the time we tend to be passive, we tend to be conflict avoidant, and generally we tend to be less proactive when it comes to asking for what we want. And the reason for that, partly in wealthy countries like Singapore, seems to be the fact that we generally didn't really have to do all this, especially given that you're never truly alone or far away from a support system. On top of that, we are taught from young that trying to break the norm or the status quo could be faced with the threat of criticism at the worst. As I mentioned earlier, this was one of the first things that I needed to address in the workplace to even get customer exposure in the first place. Things such as learning how to do small talk, getting a working knowledge of stuff like football, for instance, as well as venturing out and proactively going to meetups. Otherwise, your social circle will just not be built at all. When you are alone as an expat living abroad, this is also one skill that I found I would not have developed if I had just stayed home. And a lot of Asians would benefit from this as well, especially if they venture abroad and come back with the confidence knowing that they could set themselves up pretty much anywhere later down the line. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Do leave your comments down below. Now, if you're curious about making such a move to the West, at least for a while, and knowing more about the reality on the ground, links are down below. I'm doing coaching calls as well as Q&As if any of you are interested. But now that I've talked about all of the benefits of staying for a while in a foreign country, in this case in the UK, despite all of the issues that are going on, there are still some really harsh realities that you're going to want to be aware of, and that is a freebie that I'm giving you with this video over here. All in all, I hope you found this video informative and interesting. If you did, do consider leaving a like and subscribing to this channel so you do not miss any future uploads. With all that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.